yourself, where our listeners can find you.
Well, I'm a filmmaker, musician. I was doing this before I got in trouble. I got in trouble at the Capitol on January 6th. I stormed the Capitol.
What?
Yeah, I stormed the Capitol and I smoked everybody out under the rotunda. So I'm the doobie smoker. If you Google the doobie smoker, you'll see the videos of me.
Good for you.
But thanks, man. They fined me $1,000 for that because the weed smoke hit the portrait of George Washington with all these women. That's what there is on the very top of the rotunda.
It's right there. The Doobie Smoker Center for a roll on January 6th.
So that's me just smoking my little pipe, and then about like 5 minutes after, I checked my fanny pack and I had 7 joints left that I thought I didn't. So I just passed out these joints, man. Yeah, I said, "Do you smoke weed,
dude?" Because
traditional insurrection stuff. You
yeah,
know?
100%, dude. What a violent overthrow of the government you guys attempted to do by smoking pot. It's dude, so crazy to me how so many of my friends for the longest time just saw this so weird. Like the people who supported all the BLM Antifa riots suddenly in shock and awe about this situation. It's so crazy to me.
What up? You don't think this was worse than 9/11?
Yeah, this was right up there with 9/11. It's such a. I mean, a lot of people think this is our Holocaust. This could be our.
Oh
Holocaust,
my God!
With the way people reacted, and it's just super sad to me that people are so emotional now that we can't even have real discussions. So were you pardoned? Were you one of the people pardoned? Did you actually ever go to jail? What is that story?
Yeah. So, I the day after, the Capitol, there was a guy at the top of the rotunda who filmed me, who worked for Tucker Carlson's news outlet called The Daily Caller. And that video, the next day, I saw everywhere on Twitter. It had 7 million views. And the dude wrote, "Man smokes doobie under rotunda." And that is why all the news outlets called me the doobie smoker. And so that's when I freaked out. And I realized if I go home, I'm going to get arrested. So I hid out for a month at a friend's house. And that's when the SWAT came. Like they came and broke down the door, basically.
At his house?
And at his apartment a month later. And so when you get busted to go to jail, they don't say like, "All right, go get your clothes, go get your outfit." They just get you in what you're in. And so I was wearing weed pants and a Trump tank top. And I just smoked the bowl. And that was my outfit throughout 4 different jails. I went to 4 jails. Basically, they wanted period
of time.
Yeah. Over a period of 45 days.
Damn.
Which is crazy because Trump is number 45.
They kept you in that outfit the whole time?
So what they do is whenever they move you from one jail to the next, they put you back into your street clothes. Huh. So when I was in the jail, I'd be wearing like the orange jumpsuit. But whenever it was time to go to a new one and be in the booking room, there would be times where correctional officers would laugh at me and just be like, "Hold on, just wait." I'm like, "Yeah, where else am I going to go, dude?" Yeah. And they'd bring their other correctional officers and laugh at me because of my outfit. Wow. So it was humiliating, but also very, very not. Like I had a really good time in jail, dude. I honestly, jail to me was like a summer camp because I've been making movies nonstop, and I made 64 films in the last 4 years. You can find those films at goodlion.tv. So me going to jail was like having friends finally.
Dude, let's go to the film. Let's go see some of the film names. Go to free films, Johnny. Or let's say all the free films. Can you click on some of them? I mean, there was.
Oh yeah. You can hit that. Yeah, there you go.
Look at that.
So we got the
simulation, celebrity cloning.
Oh, look,
we'll get into all this stuff. Pervy Wood. Yeah, there we go.
I have trailers too for the greatest show on earth.
Yeah, we're getting Tartaria.
Oh, there we go.
I saw Europa was on there. You're getting dangerous, buddy. Europa. Yeah, dude. That's a dangerous right there, dude. That's crazy.
Yep.
So you have
this is what I've been up to.
Thousands of films.
So there's thousands of films on the website that are free, that are the best of the best that I've curated that are out there. That's kind of like the flower for the bees to come and see and then get attracted to my films, which I'm just going to be honest. Like, the reason why I make films is because I thought that all the other films out there sucked in the way of production. My mission statement was to make a documentary that was red pilling in the way that would trick people into thinking that there were hundreds of people behind that production, but it's really all just me. And it's worked. People are always saying, like, dang, Nick and team, good job. But I made it that way.
No, I love it, dude. I think it's a great thing. I think this is Hollywood's worst nightmare. This is the establishment's worst nightmare. Yeah. You know, we have friends of ours, Hibbler. He does a similar thing with his movies, and you guys are creating high-end professional videos that can bang with these people. It's almost like what the Chinese AI supposedly did to, you know, yesterday we were talking about, Johnny, do you still think it's a PSYOP?
That was Howie who said
that.
But
I know, but do you?
What do you, it depends on what you mean by a PSYOP. Do I think it's actually a dangerous?
Do you think it's a functional AI that can actually do what it said it's doing?
Well, I mean, people can query it. You can test it. People are.
So now we got gay AI.
I mean, there was a story there was a story yesterday that Meta was scrambling to try to duplicate this. Like, they had all hands on deck trying to figure out if they could achieve the same thing. I don't, like, basically reverse engineering it. It sounds.
Yeah,
like.
Of course, that's all he does.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Yeah,
dude, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, going off on whoever runs Apple, what's his name? Tim
Cook. Yeah.
Tim Cook, and not having an original idea in forever. That is laughable. There's nothing more laughable.
No, I mean, he literally, their biggest thing now is Oculus, Meta, which they bought. Well, Oculus.
Or Luckey Instagram.
Pushed Palmer Luckey out. And totally. They acquired Instagram, Facebook.
By the way, my goal is now to become the #1 Snapchat comedian out there. I'm just going to dominate Snapchat.
You're bringing back Snapchat?
Everyone's going to Instagram. I'm just going to dominate Snapchat. Just put up all my videos there and bang with Ukrainian sketch comedy. That's all that's on Snapchat is Ukrainian sketch comedy.
I'm getting Mormon missionary girl ads all the time now.
On Snapchat?
I have no idea. On Instagram. I have no idea what I did to get that. It's very strange.
You're looking at some weird shit, buddy.
But it's missionaries. Like, hey, you want to come to church with us?
Well, you only like doggies?
Jesus Christ will turn your life around. But it's Mormons. I don't know. It's strange.
Now, Sam.
Yes.
You know what I wanted to bring up? When I first started making movies in the beginning, what I would do, and I still do this now, I will go on X and just I'll like put the link to my movie on a post if it's something related to it. And I remember in the beginning, I got a movie of mine to you, and you said, "Hey man, if you keep making movies, you can come on my show." And that was like movie 3. There's probably Hanks or Gaga, and now I'm finally here. So thanks for having me on.
Making dreams come true. It's a crazy time to be a content creator. Do you get worried about the power bottom lizard people coming and censoring you and what you're doing?
Yeah. That's actually the biggest blessing in my life was on October 15th, 2021. I used to be on YouTube, and people were always thinking, like, who's this former Hollywood guy on YouTube making these films exposing pedophiles? And I'm not former Hollywood. They just thought that because the editing was great. And after, I think, 6 months, it was on October 15th. They just nuked the biggest channels. And not just like, I only had 60,000 followers at that time, but they nuked me.
Which platform again?
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And it was 3 days later that I had goodlion.tv up, because I used to make websites for fun and not really do anything with them. I would just do it. And so it came in handy. And I created this website on Wix, the platform Wix. And I was really worried because Wix is owned by Fidelity. It's a big ass bank. And I figured that if they caught wind to the films and what I was doing, that I'd be screwed. But I think about 2 years in, they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, what are you doing? You make a lot of money. You need some help." They said, "You need some help. We're your direct access now." And I thought, "Oh, I'm not in trouble."
Wow.
So, right. Like, I guess nobody ever used Wix to make a streaming platform. So there were a lot of times where when I'd reach out and say, "Hey, where's this feature?" And they'd be like, "We don't have that because no one does what you've done." And so, and it's an $8 million company. And it really was started with nothing. Like, I can teach people, if you have a computer and that's it, and maybe some motivation to be an editor, I can teach people how to do it the way I did it. I did it with no money. I was on unemployment. I got fired for being a Trump supporter. And then it was like, I don't know, 2 months into it where I saw Fall of the Cabal. And I thought, great red pill, but terrible editing.
Yeah,
I can do this. I can do this way better.
But that woke up. That literally red pilled a lot of people. I remember when that came out, I was getting it sent from like my cousins and stuff, and I was like, "All right, this is."
How about the fact that she died right after that?
She really died?
Yeah,
I know. She suicided herself, man. We were friends, sorta. We would talk every now and then, and like FaceTimed once, and it was like meeting a celebrity for me, and she felt that way for me, and I was like, "You know who I am?" And we like kind of giggled at each other. But she had a severe depression issue, and she had a history of just going and vanishing. So her partner thought that maybe she was just going to come back again, and she never came back. And I guess they found her body at some point.
It's tragic. We've heard of that story, people going too deep, and then people, obviously when she is found dead, the stories go, oh, somebody offed her, somebody this, somebody that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because we do know that happens. But sometimes people go too deep and they just can't come back from what they know. And, I can find myself in those moments where I'm like, I am so deep right now. How do I talk to anybody? How do I talk to, how do I go on stage and have conversations with people that are just trying to escape their day to day, and I'm yelling at them about usury, I mean, and it's like, am I doing my job here? I feel bad sometimes.
That's the thing that Hicks struggled with. You hear that everything Bill Hicks, where he privately talked about it, it was like, because that was, his natural inclination too, or to talk about the things he was passionate about, which in that, in his case were dark things that were happening. So, yeah.
But I realize that, like, it's that fine line. You kind of gotta, it's interesting, because if I'll do a show with all Sam Tripoli fans, I go hard in the paint. They love it. But then when you go, "Hey man, is there anybody? How many people listen to my podcast?" and 5 people clap, I'm like, oh.
That's your challenge, right? Though, to make those things palatable.
Right. But when I'm yelling about how everybody should be made fun of, and you start going off on like Holocaust, so people they get quiet, but I'll say this: nobody walked out.
That's good.
Nobody walked out. I used to walk people all the time, which I enjoyed. And I'm sorry. I just think it's funny that people get upset about a joke. But ultimately, I think that's the best way to show your displeasure, is to walk out, not to heckle, not to try to get somebody fired, but to walk out and pull your attention. I respect that. I totally have respect for that. And but that is kind of our battle right now, is how do I take all this information I have? I love it. Some people are like, how do you deal with it? Oh, I just don't like them lying to me. That's what I'm really against, the lie that they're perpetrating on us, and how so many intelligent people, not smart people, just buy a hook, line, and sinker.
Right. Yeah. That happened to me. It's similar to what Isaac Cappy said too. Isaac Cappy was talking about the same exact thing before he left, died, whatever we think. Saying if you get so sucked into this, it consumes you and you become it. And this is part of the reason why I don't like to make Hervywood films anymore. That was a series that got really popular that I made. It's what blew me up. It was the first one I wrote. Also, it was the 5th film. But the last Hervywood I did was on Diddy, Volume 2. We have a trailer for that too. I sent the link.
Can we watch the trailer?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Cool.
I feel like that story, they're trying to drag it out for as long as they can till everybody moves on. That's all you need, dude. Like, if you're listening to me, I don't know if canceling happens anymore, but if they try to cancel you, just get off the internet for 2 weeks, and the story will move on.
Do you think they're just going to drag this on for 1-2 more years so no one gives a fuck?
Yeah.
All right,
Say goodbye to
we got an ad here. Let me just mute that.
Rumble's got to make that money, Peter Thiel.
Costly cable TV once and for all.
Yeah.
This
no way to
revolutionary
mute?
invention
You can't
gives
even
you
mute the
access
ad?
to your
That's
favorite
I'll
channels.
skip it. There we go.
Ever seen a military
gonna
monocular
get another one?
lens that can
Another
zoom in
ad.
on objects?
Another one
They
back
use-
to
they
back.
use Rogan
You gotta
voice
hear
in
about this.
everything.
Rogan's got to be like, dude, how do you...
Sorry.
Here we go.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Rogan's got to be like, there is a podcast that uses my name, my voice, and it's a top 200.
Oh, the AI,
podcast.
the Joe Rogan AI podcast,
Yeah.
or the AI experience, or whatever they call it.
And
That's
it's
crazy,
like,
right?
how do you not fight that?
Yeah, he seems to be a chill guy, right?
Let's see it. The rise and fall.
What if I told you everything about the music industry was a lie? What if most of Hollywood stars you idolized were forced into contracts that led them to darkness, praising Satan instead of praising God? What if I told you that Sean Diddy Combs was the Jeffrey Epstein of the music industry? Would you believe it? Scotty the Kid, the mastermind behind the massively popular...
Oh, look who made it.
Oh, Sam Tripoli.
Yeah, there you are.
Trailer.
By the way, she made it into one of my T-shirts. If you look at the swarm,
Oh, she's the one on the. Yeah, you're
she's
right.
the one in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Wow.
I literally
that
can't
took the world
stand.
by storm in the middle of 2020 leads us on a journey in uncovering who really hides behind the persona of P. Diddy. We won't go into the sexual deviance or freak-offs in this film. That's saved for Volume 3. What we'll go into is the path and trails of darkness P. Diddy walked throughout his career, ultimately becoming the demon of the music industry that has finally fallen into his grave. With biblical scripture and on a linear timeline, walk with us in discovering the truth behind the former media mogul, Sean Combs. By recognizing
does he have a
the clues
star?
behind,
Oh, sure he
and with
does.
our
Everybody's
newfound
got him.
awareness of it, as a public, we will become better at discernment, ultimately never allowing ourselves to idolize such demons again. This
Great.
is Herveywood Diddy, Volume 2, The Rise and Fall of Sean Combs.
Yep.
Great editing. Holy crap. Good
Right?
Shit, yeah.
Just like that Sam Altman, the exact same thing. Just up to no good. I mean, every one of these guys, I guarantee you, if you go deep enough, deep enough, you will find that he committed some crime and they got him off. I mean, everyone loves Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg had like a murder rap, got off. How long did you stay in jail?
So it was a total of 45 days, and the first jail I was in 30 days, and that was like in a bay with 30 pretty much black dudes. Like I was in Virginia, so there was probably 3 white dudes. And I was one of them.
So they
I'm
didn't.
not
put,
even white.
They didn't put all the January 6th in like one jail. I would assume they would all like kind of.
Why would they do that?
No, no,
Then they
no.
would all
They-
riot.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not.
They
saying,
did.
Oh, they
yeah,
did?
They could. Yeah, I mean.
They did. Yeah. So like what they did was initially they got me and they put me into the closest jail. And that was in Virginia, Western Tidewater. And then I realized that they weren't giving a shit about me. I wasn't giving bond. I was going to stay there. And then my friend, or a fan who became a friend, she said, my husband has gone through this before. Like I had to get him out of jail once. I know what they're doing. Make me your power of attorney, and I'm gonna move this forward for you.
Oh.
And so basically, what she enabled me to do was go fast track. And so they were like,
Faith, though,
okay,
dude.
looks
Yeah,
like habeas corpus. We got to send them to the judge in DC so the judge can make a ruling, because that wasn't the right jurisdiction for the judge in Virginia to make any shot call on my case.
Huh.
So after 30 days, they started my move to the DC gulag. So I did get to spend 2 weeks in solitary confinement in the DC gulag, where they kept all of the J6ers, or as many as they could have. So of the 1,500 that got in trouble, I don't know how many were arrested, or actually imprisoned. But in that gulag at the time that I was there were 30 of us, and some were flown in via Con Air from like California. Crazy. And I was on a bus, and I went through 4 jails. The first jail was fucking crazy, bro. Like I got a tattoo. I got this tattoo when I was in jail from a midget named Mini-Me, who was bald and had a kink for pregnant women. Like,
who doesn't?
I know, dude. It was crazy. There was this little black dude, like same height. So we had 2 mini, like one black, one white. And
did they fight?
People started. No, they were cool. They were cool with each other. But the mini black dude eventually like opened up to me, and a lot of people there did, because I was really heavy on doing podcasts at that time. So I basically brought my energy of podcasting to the cell. And this little black guy was like, Nick, I want to tell you something. I'm actually a woman. And so I'm feeling like, yeah, dude, I do know you're a woman, because when you're around, I get the feminine energy. And that's the one thing you don't get in jail is feminine energy. So there were a lot of people who ended up telling me like things that they probably shouldn't have. And there were things that I did that were completely abnormal that most people were like, dude, what are you doing? Like, for example, a lot of my fans donated so much money to me that I started to get hot plates for everybody. But you can only get one extra one. So I would give enough money to that guy so you could get that extra one to that guy. And then I'd go to that guy, do the same thing. Oh, right. And at one point there was like 20 of us having like a fucking raging pizza party. And like everyone was just like, Nick is fucking insane. What is he doing?
You're prison Jesus.
That's great, dude.
Prison Jesus. I love that. Yeah, it was so touching for me in that bay that when I left, I cried. Like I even bought drugs in there. Like I don't do drugs anymore. I don't drink. But when I was in jail, you can get drugs. You can get whatever the fuck, whatever there is on the menu. Really? You can get alcohol like through a steel door. Basically what I had to do was like go knock on this door to the next bay, ask for the drug dealer, ask what's on the menu. We got Suboxone. And then I bought some for some homies, and we all got high one evening.
Dude, and you have like, no fear that you end up getting popped for that? Like they're watching you maybe, and then you have a real like years on your hand? Like were you thinking about that at all?
Oh, for sure. Some people at night would get their medication. And so one of the dudes in there, he'd be like, hey, Nick, you want to get high? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? He's like, let's snort this. And I was like, all right. And so like we would have to hide from the cameras. So we like knew like, let's make sure they don't see it.
I see.
And like, yeah. And when you're in jail, you
like to be high.
I remember like
prison. What's that like?
What's what?
What's it like to be high in prison? I would freak out.
Well, that sounds like opiates, Suboxone, right?
It was, so that time when I was in that cell in that bay, it was dope because there was like a little bit of space to move and walk around. So I was pacing, doing push-ups. Suboxone is like an upper and a downer. So like I did so many push-ups that like I kind of tore a muscle. You can't feel it. Oh, but yeah, there was actually one time where there's this guy who tried to start a fight with me. He was just too comfortable and was talking shit too soon. And I put him in his place. And then so there was this moment where I took some sleeping pills that someone gave me, and that was so uncomfortable. That was like being on a shroom trip in jail, because I remember getting up and I couldn't sleep. So I went to go pee, and like everything was fucking just messed up to the point where then this guy who I put in his place like came up to me and wanted to apologize. And I thought it was going to turn into a fight, but I was just so out of it. I couldn't even continue the conversation. I told him to talk to me later. It is like a summer camp in those situations, but jail is not always like that. And God let me know quick, because when I got moved to the next jail, that one was very private. That was when they're moving people to prison. So jail is kind of like where they keep all these fucking criminals who are going to spend 10 to 15 years, if you're in the federal circuit, in prison. So, and also they keep you in there. So it's more miserable in jail, because you don't have freedom to get out and walk around or buy stuff from a vending machine. Being in prison, you can have a fucking phone. Like the drug dealer that I met in that first bay, I still send money to and I still talk to, because in the second jail, we bunked up and he taught me how I could get anything I wanted in jail. He's like, you got to find out what people want. And if you have something to give them, you can get something back. So then after that jail, I went to another one, and that was like the real jail from the movies. There was like 70 people in one place. They were all doing all kinds of shit. That they were getting tattoos, they were getting high. The black dudes from DC found out I was a J6er, and they wanted to kick my ass.
Why?
Because the DC loyalists, they just, the guy that was in before me, his name's Jonathan Mellis, who's also a friend, who's a J6er. He was way too loud, and he made his stance known and created a lot of enemies right off the bat. And then I come in looking like him with a beard and long hair, and so he just gave me the bad reputation off the bat. And but I just red pilled people throughout the whole jail experience, and cool. That's the thing I gave to people.
Any fights?
You know how it started? People would say, people would be talking about drugs. And I'd be like, you guys ever heard of adrenochrome? And they'd be like, no, what's that? And be like, all right, story time.
Red pill in the prison. I love that. Did you get in any fights?
There were a few times that I almost did, and I talked my way out of them, and I never knew I had that ability. There was one guy in the first bay that I was in. He was washing his clothes with an iPad in his hand. Sometimes in jails now, you get fucking iPads, and you can video chat with people.
That's crazy.
And so, like, I had fans showing me their coochies and their titties, like, in jail. It was miraculous. So this guy,
I mean, you
is
look
washing
like Aquaman. So I mean, that's gotta help.
It does help. This guy's washing his clothes with the iPad in his hand, and I'm like, yo, dude, why don't you put that on the charge? Like, you could drop it, and then we're all screwed. We're sharing 4 iPads, man. And he got in my face, started yelling like he was going to beat me up, and he's like, let's move to where there aren't any cameras. Come on, let's go. So I move over there, and I say, dude, why do you think fighting is going to fix anything? Why don't we just communicate? Why don't you just express to me what you're feeling, dude? Like, you're going to beat up a rookie in jail? How cool are you? And then he backed down. And then what was cool was, so he was one alpha, and then there was another alpha, and they started to fight once. And he used the same argument that I used. He's like, why don't we talk about it, fool? Why do you always want to start a fight, fool? And I'm sitting there like, dude, that's what I said. Like, did I just create a chain reaction in jail for like peacemaking?
That is so crazy, bro. You're just bringing the peace to
who actually wants to fight. Yeah, he's Jesus. Yeah, he's jail Jesus.
I mean, dude, a lot of people in prison have a lot of trauma.
But in their
heart,
most people don't.
Let me tell you about this one. Yeah. There was a time where I went to jail again because I violated probation. I moved to Nashville for a chick, and then I got in a fight with my probation officer in California, and
this after?
Yeah.
Is this after January 6th?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is after. This was like 2 years ago. And so I ended up back in jail. I'm in Kentucky for 20 days. I spent 20 days in jail. And similar situation, very small space, 20 dudes. I was sleeping on the ground the whole time. I made a good friend named Q, this dope black dude named Q. And there was one day, and this is the fight dynamic in jail. There was one day where the Lakers were in the playoffs, and we were all wanting to watch the Lakers, but the people in charge of the TV at that time were watching some Desperate Housewives thing. And then they started to like debate about the housewives, and we're all looking at each other like, the game is on. And so I'm like, fuck it. And I went up, I took the remote. They didn't even see me because they were just fucking debating about housewives. And then I put on the Lakers. And then Q turned into he just turned into a whole nother person. He was no longer my friend. He came up to my face. He's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? The fuck? You don't ever fucking do that. And I looked in the corner, and all these dudes, like the black dudes, were going to put on their shoes. Normally you're wearing slippers in jail. And now they're all putting on their shoes because they want traction when they get into a brawl. And the white dudes were doing the same thing. This is what happens when there seems to be a fight that's about to start between a white and black dude.
Oh,
that the tribes link up.
Oh my God.
I talked my way out of this one though too. I said to Q, I'm like, bro, you're debating here, and the Lakers are in the playoffs. We've been watching them all week, dude. How come you get control of the TV and I don't? And then things kind of silenced a little bit. This is like the most common sense. And then he backed off. And then this white dude came around and he's like, yo, Nick, I was putting on my shoes, bro. I was like, why? He's like, because when this happens, bro, this is a black versus white world in jail. I was like, shit, so man, crazy. I had no idea. But like that jail experience was dope because I got to do the same thing I did in the first one. It was Mother's Day, and I overheard someone say they never gave their mom flowers on Mother's Day. So I was like, bro, I got you. My mom's going to Instacart to your mom. What's her address? And then someone else was like, oh, I wish I could have that. I'm like, you too. Let's go. And then in that jail, you could smoke e-cigs. So I was buying a shitload of e-cigs and passing them out, just like low key, because the reports show that if the jails with e-cigs have less fights. And people, that was like the gold currency, having a e-cig, getting a buzz in jail is like the most peaceful buzz ever.
So you tell me the black prisoners hate the J6ers?
The DC ones inside of this one jail, yeah. There was one night where I was red pilling people, and I knew that they could hear. So I was like purposefully even saying it louder. And there was a gang of Mexicans who I thought were pissed, but they came through and they're like, hey, yo, we see you. And they kind of gave me this like acknowledgement. And I thought, that's cool. Oof. But then the black DCers, that one of them yelled out loud, fuck Trump. And I was like, and I was in my bed, like in that jail, they make you go to bed at a specific time. So everyone's in their bunk bed at like 11 or 10. And I was just thinking like, oh, fuck, this might be the time. Like, I can't talk my way out of this one. And thankfully, because I was on my way to the DC gulag, it was that night that a correctional officer came in, said my name, which my first name is Eduardo. So Eduardo Gonzalez. I have a really long name. That meant that I was getting transferred. So I wasn't going to be there another day to see if they were going to beat me up. And being in the DC gulag, that was like, they didn't like you there either. We were escorted. Everywhere we went in the jail, we had protection because they thought they would beat us up if they saw that we were alone. So they put us in a whole separate jail. It was like a mental institution that used to be there. And that's where they kept us in the situation that was shitty. It's what you hear online from the J6ers there. All that's true, like with the mold and being in solitary confinement. That was the ultimate test. That was the test where I really felt like, oh, this is jail. Everything else was like social hour. Now, like when they would come and bring food in, I'd say, what time is it? And they tell me the time, and then I'd go mark on the shadow on the ground. When the sun hits this, it's 1 o'clock. And then I would know that whenever the shadow was getting closer to that, food was coming. And that would make me happy. So I would find like the littlest ways to be happy because it gets crazy.
So crazy.
A lot of jerking off, I imagine.
A lot of jerking off,
what?
dude. A lot of trying different techniques, too. Like Indian burn, knuckles up.
Memory bank getting ran through.
Right? Just trying to do it weird. Now, my question to you is, when you had a fan who was acting like legal advice, my whole thing has been, it's like January 6th was a Fed event, an intelligence agency event to set up the domestic terrorist movement to make it so you could label a U.S. citizen a terrorist, which is what they're talking about with the cartels. You label them a terrorist, you don't need the government, you don't need congressional approval to go to war. So if I label Xavier Guerrero a domestic terrorist, his constitutional rights are all gone. So
you're so right.
So
you're so right.
Did that affect you at all?
I just got to say that theory is 100%. That's so true. pardon me, to the point where this Ashley Babbitt lady, who supposedly was a MAGA and who died.
What? Supposedly? What?
Oh yeah, I think that's pure BS. There's this video called by Woo's News.
We've had him on.
The truth of, I think it was like what happened on the Capitol. The truth about what happened at the Capitol. There's a play-by-play that shows almost like a choreographed dance or like a football play where you see one guy tap that guy's shoulder, this tap that, and you see all these things happen. I think what they intended,
allegedly.
Allegedly,
yeah, we have to say that.
they wanted us to get outraged. They wanted us to act crazier, and we didn't. I think it failed for them. Once you see the video, you'll understand that, okay, I can see why the theory is out there. How do I know for sure? I don't. But watching that video really sparked it up for me. Also, Ray Epps, the FBI agent who was telling everyone to go into the Capitol the day before. And then Trump is now coming out talking about how Ray Epps talked about many FBI agents being there. It had a dark vibe that day where it did feel like it was a pure setup. And there are specific people that have done their due diligence and research and have really tried to figure out who was behind it. Now, I think I know who it was or who they are. And it is a network that pretends to be Trump supporters. And they were trying to get Trump that Insurrection Act so he couldn't run again, so that they could be in place of Trump. I'm going to throw his name out there. General Flynn. If anyone wants to look into it, General Flynn and Brian Gamble and all these people were there. Well, not General Flynn wasn't there, but Brian Gamble was there, and he's a very close worker with Flynn in the PSYOP realm. And that guy talks a lot of mad shit on X, but we have so many receipts. That day, he was zipped up, covered up, earpiece, there way before all of us. And we'll have spaces on X where he'll come in and we'll question him. And we'll ask all these questions. And they get so pissed that they just make fun of us. They don't actually like come with receipts. So anyway, like that might... I don't know. Like a lot of people don't have the courage to say that.
It's very interesting because I think they're called the Patriot Front. You know, I've been saying they're feds forever. Somebody who's always given me shit about Trump on the internet all the time. He's like, oh, these guys were on, their leader was on Jake Shields' show. We love Jake Shields, friend of show. We'd love to have him on. He said that they went on and said they're not a Fed, which makes me laugh. Like, what are they going to say? I mean, what else are they going to say?
You got us.
No, we're not. So, I mean, I haven't listened to the interview because I don't listen to podcasts, not because I just don't want to be influenced, you know? But so that's what they say, but I think that's what they would say, right? I mean, of
course.
You may be damned if you do, damned if you don't, but still, it still seems to me like that's what they would say, is that they aren't a part of the
I mean, they would say that either way. Yeah, of course.
Right? I mean, it's very weird to me. It's very weird.
I've seen how rumors get spread real easily in a very personal way. I had an employee once who would pump out some films, but not really talented at it. And it got to a point to where this lady friend of mine who got me out of jail quicker, she ended up telling me before she took her own life a year ago. Her life was so hard. She ended up killing herself. But she ended up telling me before she died, she said, fire that guy. People think his movies are yours and you're way better. And I was like, shit. You're right. And so I fired this guy, and he has BPD, borderline personality disorder.
Oh, the worst. The worst. Run.
The worst. Oh, it's the worst. He ended up, I lay him off, and I become his worst enemy, and he creates this thread on Twitter with pure lies, saying my mom's CIA. My mom can barely speak English and she can't even hold a job. And my dad is FBI. And then to see how many people are so easily led by some bullshit that they can't even back up. They'll just go, oh, I knew it. Yeah. He's way too pretty. He's way too pretty.
Happens all the time. They just want to believe in. There's this whole thing that if you're successful, it's because you're a Fed. Nobody can just be successful. There's got to be an invisible hand getting you where you are, not learning how to play the game, or in my case, being a part of this kind of first wave of podcasting. You know, that like, I'm not just talking about tinfoil hat, but being part of Death Squad and all those guys who went on to do huge things and being part of that group. You know, I mean, it's like I'm being decent at this. I always wanted to have my own radio show, being too crazy for radio, getting into the Wild West of podcasting. But it's like, oh, man, this guy's success. I had one person say, I think it was like anybody with over 1,000 followers is controlled ops, because he had 6 followers.
I mean, Sam, you are Eskimo Brothers with the big boy.
Yeah, this guy's not helping.
I'm just saying. You know how many people hit me up?
Whose side are you on, retard?
No, but I can see why they would say that, because that's huge. You can't sit there and be like,
yeah, what do you think they're going to book somebody who's not controlled opposition to go on right before Donald Trump?
You guys are not helping. You guys know that will be clipped and be used against ridiculous. Me in a court of public opinion. Ridiculous. Freaking retard.
That is hilarious. Yeah, dude, I feel the pain.
I had to tell him not to clip something because I know this guy would clip it. Whatever is the worst thing to do, guy would.
That's what he tweeted the other day about the flat Earth thing. Somebody's got to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
That's his job, to ask the hard questions.
Such a retard. But were you with? You know, I know you said there was one guy in prison. He came in way too hot. Probably paid a little price for that. But were there other January 6 people there, and did they have access to lawyers?
Yeah, we had access to lawyers. We would actually be able to talk to them on this like mobile payphone. It was this weird blue phone that we could talk to them on. Immediately when I first got into jail, after like I was interrogated by these. Actually, they were hot FBI agents, man. It was like a movie scene.
Send in. Dudes, chicks get you horny.
Yeah, I think they're hot on purpose, because then you feel comfortable. I'd just taken an Adderall, so I spilled all the beans to them in the car. They're like, this guy's an idiot.
Meth, which, if you have a sex addiction, that's cranking that up.
That's a fact. And so I complied, and I gave them everything. I gave them my phone. I gave them my passwords. I let them there was nothing for me to fight or hide. And then immediately when they took me to jail, I thought I was going to be there for like 3 days. That's what they told me. And then it became like an undetermined amount of time. But immediately they gave me this lawyer, and the lawyer said, look, kid, you're looking at 15 to 20 years. And I was thinking, like, what the fuck? Am I dreaming? This is insane. And then immediately from the booking room to this Zoom, because everything was COVID, a Zoom court hearing. And it's my first time in court ever. And this prosecutor is completely lying. And I couldn't help myself. I just said, Your Honor, he's lying. This is ridiculous. And the judge got so mad at me. He's like, you can't do that. You can't talk out of turn. And then my lawyer was like, can we please have a recess? And then my lawyer was like, now is this chick lawyer. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I've never done this before. Like, what? This dude's lying. She's like, you can't talk. I talk for you. And I'm like, Jesus, this is crazy. But once they let me out on bond, which was like the smallest chance of ever happening, they did. I had no previous record, and I needed one person to take me in. And it was this fan who wanted some. And she never got any, but thank you, Angelina, for taking me in.
Dude, why wouldn't you give her some, bro? She took you in. That's the least you should do. Knock the bottom out of it.
She took you in and wanted to take you in.
Yeah, she wanted to take you in more ways than one.
I'm not into chubby chicks, and that's it. That's the only reason.
Hey,
Like,
you know our theory on this show: tighter vaginas.
That Sam Tripoli speaks for Sam Tripoli and Sam Tripoli alone.
Sam Tripoli.
And I think that was on Broken Sam. I don't think that's ever been said here.
Yeah.
Okay, you know they all just kind of blend in at some point.
For you, lady.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, but you just got out of prison, so it must have been really chunky for you not wanting to hit it.
That's a
Well,
good
like,
point. Damn.
yeah. Every time we would talk on like like on a phone, like on a FaceTime kind of thing with the iPad, it would be like her half of her face, you know. And I thought she was pretty.
Oh yeah, the classic, the
angles,
classic,
bro. The angles.
Angle. Yeah. And chicks do that with their face, like guys do it with their dick pics, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
Just angles, just angles.
You got to make it look like the Empire
Yeah, I'm
State
just
Building.
like, look at this monster.
Were you entertaining it though? Because you were trying to get out though, right? You were
I bet you was whispering sweet nothings.
Yeah.
Yeah, before he got out.
I didn't know that she was a bigger woman until it was at the airport, and I saw her, and I was like, immediate no.
Bigger than
I
what?
was like, this ain't gonna happen. And like she had a basically like a studio apartment, so we were sleeping in the same bed. And like this memory I have of her was like her giving me margarita after margarita, just hoping that would be the one.
I love it. I love it. You should just one time just let her show you she's a patriot.
Dude, you have no filter. I love it, bro. It's great, man. This guy's honest. You can tell he's not making anything up. I love that about you, bro.
So okay. So how long do you have to kick it with Chunky?
I kicked it with Chunky for about, I think it was 2.5 months, and she got so pissed. Dude, I was paying her rent. I was paying for everything.
Yeah, you'd rather pay the rent than hit it?
Yeah, wait, what was that?
You'd rather pay rent than hit it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt like, I'm not going to hit it, so the least I can do is pay rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she got so mad that she kicked me out. And at this time, I had an ankle monitor on. And I thought, fuck, I'm busted. Like, if they're going to see I'm in a hotel room, fuck. So I go to a hotel room, and I'm chilling, and I get a call from my officer, and he didn't give a fuck. He's like, no, bro, you can move wherever you want now. You just needed that place to land. You can go wherever you want. You can stay in a hotel. It's like, thank God. So that led to a journey, man. That led to a wild journey of living in hotels, on couches, and then with roommates. The first place I lived in was a gay meth head house, 2 gay lovers that were addicted to meth. I had no idea. And then I moved into this raging potheads mansion, and that was like in the heart of like Disneyland area. So that was its own wild energy. Like life after jail has been the hardest thing ever up until recently. It's like almost like I was still in jail with everyone else energetically, but now my life is completely like turned upside down. Like I'm in love with the sexiest woman ever, and I'm moving to go live with her. I'm not going to say where, so people don't know where I live, but it's in paradise. That's the clue.
Yeah. Hawaii,
Vegas.
There we go. I got it. Bang. That's super interesting. Like, just the journey. Now you say you're Latino, but you hung out with the whites.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Yeah, because I look white. I mean, but actually, I would hang with all of them. Like, yeah, there actually was rarely. There was a few whites. More, I think I'd say the whites and Latinos were blended together wherever I was. But I'm 11% Nigerian because I'm Venezuelan, and there's a lot of black in Venezuela. I did the 23andMe before I knew it was a retarded thing to do, and
I'm trying to get my brother to do it, but I still think it's bullshit. But
what you mean? Well, he's talking about like the risks of doing it, but you think the results are also bullshit? Is that
I
what you
think there's some bullshit.
Okay.
Yep.
Could be. It could be. But I still like thinking I'm black. That's pretty tight.
We all do, dude. We all do, bro. I'm Art Moore, bro. I got black in me.
Johnny, you got any black in you?
Yeah, I'm 2% Cameroonian. I learned that.
Oh, Johnny, you did it, huh?
Years ago. Yeah. 2%
black,
Cameroonian.
That's a good black Cameroonian.
That's a good black?
Yeah.
What's a bad black?
I just said that because you're good at soccer.
Yeah, tell us about all the blacks you hate.
Yeah. Go off on that one. Xavier Guerrero. I bet you there's a couple black guys at ICE.
I mean, they're good at soccer. They're good at soccer. Cameroon did really good at one of the World Cups. I was like, that's a good black.
They're the good blacks. Gotcha.
They run fast. They're good.
Gotcha.
So you judge blacks based on their athletic ability.
Oh, okay.
I mean, don't we all? I mean,
unbelievable. So where is the case right now?
Done. The other day, so once Trump pardoned us, I sent a text message to my probation officer and I said, I guess this is the end of our relationship. And then he wrote back, hold on, let me just wait until I hear something. And then 2 days later, he's like, all right, so you're off probation now. And it's like, fuck, that's tight.
Great, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the probation throughout the years has been really nothing. In the beginning, I did one piss test, then I got my weed card, so they stopped piss testing me. They were hawk-eyeing me. Like one time I went to a strip club, and I had my ankle monitor on, and they knew. And my probation officer was like, where were you last night? Would your mom be happy about it? I was like, dude, what is wrong with you?
Dude, that
like,
is
why are you
crazy? What would your mother think?
Weird.
I should have been like, my mom works there, bro. Leave me alone.
I can tell you what your mom thinks.
I remember one time I went and picked up some, I don't do drugs anymore, but one time I went to pick up some drugs in a shady spot, and he was like, what were you doing there? I was like, dude, you must be really bored to be spying on every move I make.
But you're dancing
yeah.
When you're doing this, right? Are you like, oh, Trump's just gonna get me off? Is that why you're doing it?
What, drugs?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you
I mean, dude, if I'm on probation for January 6th, which they're trying to label as the new 9/11, or even worse than 9/11, dude, I'm never touching drugs. I mean, that's just me. I would live in constant fear.
Yeah, I mean, you heard about that other guy who just got shot, right, at a traffic stop. It was a J6. He was on the list, too. He just got shot.
Right.
And so I guess you guys just are just out there living life, I guess, huh?
I mean, when I came to tennis, like I wasn't getting drug tested anymore. I remember when I spoke to the judge and he let me come out and I said, hey, I have a weed card. Can we get this drug testing off of this thing? He's like, well, show me an updated weed card and then I will remove it. So the first time I piss tested, I was like, hey, there's going to be weed in there. And he's like, well, I have to write you up. I'm like, the judge knows because I have a new weed card. So it's okay.
I don't know how you do that.
Eventually, they stopped drug testing me after that. But when I moved to Tennessee, they said, sorry, there's no legal weed here, so we're going to drug test you. And I still did drugs. And they never drug tested me. They never did. It was like after 6 months, I was like, no
water over here, huh? I mean, damn.
Jesus style, bro. I know, but it was a good lesson for me. Drugs became a crutch because making movies is like, this is all I do, and I'm a loner. And like, I don't know if you've ever heard of that study with the rats and cocaine. Like, you get a rat drinking cocaine water inside of a lonely cage. Yeah. It's going to keep drinking cocaine water until it dies. So what they would do is do another rat, and just before it dies, they put it into a cage with all these friends and toys, and then the cocaine water is still present, but it chooses the regular water. I think, like, from the bigger scale of it, I chose to do drugs because shit was so depressing. But I kept working, and I make a lot of money. Like, that's the pros and cons of this whole thing. Like, I never stopped working, but life had been miserable.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I mean, you're crazy, Nick, to get high while you're on probation. Unbelievable.
The only reason why I'm saying it now is because I've been pardoned. I was thinking, how honest can I be in the world now? But before I was pardoned, I was like, shit. Because, I did sign a lot of things that said I did not do drugs this month. But, oh, dude, I know. I'm pretty lucky, dude.
But you okay, so you're on probation doing drugs. Now you're off probation. You tell me you're not doing drugs, which you don't have to tell me.
I stopped doing drugs 3 months ago.
Oh,
I don't drink. I did smoke weed the other day. California sober.
all right,
It was when Trump announced that I was pardoned. I did smoke a joint.
That's so cool.
Celebrate, bro. Celebrate.
Is there any other benefits to being pardoned? I mean, I don't know. Do you get like a free?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Dinner at IHOP. I don't know.
What do you mean? Is there any other benefits?
I don't know.
What's that mean, dude?
I don't know.
You get free bags at CVS.
Wait up. Wasn't when Biden pardoned all his people, you can pardon them for future fucking.
I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, that's what he did with Fauci, and for things that they haven't necessarily been accused
Yeah, that's
of,
what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they got anything future
No,
pardoned.
but what he's saying, like future crimes.
Yeah, I mean.
So,
Right,
like, if I haven't done this yet.
But these were crimes that they had been convicted of in this case. So, yeah.
So what's the future? I don't know the answer to that. What's the future of Good Lion?
Future of Good Lion is more healing films. I do want to continue exposing truths that people don't know or that need to get spread out. But there's a big future. I want to start hiring people to do what I do as well, but making healing series, things that help people figure out what to do after they've learned the dark truth of the world. Because oftentimes red pilling is like, it's really like exposing all the wounds of the world, and kind of like it's like getting a tattoo on your soul. And I want to be the Aquaphor to help people soothe after that, because there isn't much out there for that. And so also though, Good Lion Studios in the future, there's going to be films that I'm making that are like, I kind of want to build a Noah's Ark for Hollywood. And for those in Hollywood who want to jump ship and go into a place that's holier, safer, less pedos, less Satanism, no pedos, just none of that shit. I want to hire them. And I know that with the people I have behind me, that dream is very close to getting materialized. And I never wanted to make documentaries. I remember once I went to a sidekick. It was 2017. She said, I see you going back and forth to DC and making documentaries around the world. And I thought, I just wasted my money because I hate documentaries and I'm not political. I'm not going to DC. And then fast forward 3-4 years,
wow,
I'm going back and forth to DC and I got fans all around the world.
That's crazy,
so like,
dude.
I realized that fate and free will are in a dance together all the time.
That.
I might think I'm doing, was that?
I love that.
Yeah, dude.
I think that's great. I tell people all the time, I'm a Christian, but people get angry at manifestation. They think it's like anti-Christian. I don't see that. I think there is mysticism within Christianity. People can fight with me all they want on that. I don't care. I'm not here to cause any problems. But I believe in manifestation. And like, if I can find my old notebooks that I was writing down daily, my goals in life, how many of these things I like crossed off? It's pretty amazing.
You don't think prayer is a way of manifestation?
I do. I think that can be it as well.
Yeah.
In a weird way. But so my question to you is, as you hire people, would you hire somebody who's been deported from the country and used to be on tinfoil hat, but because he's no longer here, we've eliminated his position? Would you hire him from Mexico? Would you do that?
I use Adobe Premiere. I know a little bit about editing, so I'm not like a rookie.
Okay.
Start me off a little bit higher than minimum wage would be nice.
Oh, but do you know American minimum wage in Mexico?
He's already negotiating a pay increase.
But in Mexico, American minimum wage is like 8 figures.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I don't need.
Okay, dude.
No insurance. We're okay.
It's good to know you got a job. We're gonna miss you. That seat will always be empty. We'll never ever fill it.
Just tape
again.
Over it,
So that's the goal: is to get some
workers. Home Depot has a lot of them.
To get some people to help you edit and just try to put out some positive energy. My buddy, he's super Christian, he was like, "Are you doing more good than bad?" And I go, "Well, I think if people would have listened to my show, less people would have gotten the jab, and less people would be dealing with health problems that they have right now. Less people would be falling for a lot of the psyops that they're pushing on you. Less people would be falling for this cultural wars they would be." So in that sense, I do think we'd do a good job. The thing I would like everybody to get from this show is that you have to save yourself. I think being passive isn't the way to go through life, you know. And faith without works is dead. I believe that regardless of whatever religion you have. If you're not attacking, you're not setting yourself up for success, you're not setting yourself up for whatever, you know, traumatic event's going to happen in the future, you know, and you're just waiting for somebody to just save you, I think you're setting yourself up for a lot of chaos in your life. You should always be preparing yourself, both spiritually, financially, physically. That's what I think. Final thoughts, Nick.
Okay, I want to add to that what you just said. I got baptized in October, and that's what started my path to sobriety and Christian. So since then, life has really been focused with manifestation. Like the things that I've always wanted are happening. And it wasn't always so easy. So what I want to leave everyone off with was the beginning of this entire journey of me making movies started off with, I went to college to be a filmmaker and a psychologist. And I realized quickly I wasn't going to make money. So I became a computer network engineer. And then I got a job as an IT support agent or whatever at a few startups in Carpinteria, Santa Barbara area. And there was one time we had a company party and I drank too much. And I decided that I was going to take an Uber home. But for some reason, when I got to my car, I decided I'm just going to drive home. And I drove home drunk. And I drove home on the PCH. And I don't even remember what happened. I just woke up on the couch. And my ex-wife said, "Hey, you totaled the car." I said, "What?" I woke up, I looked outside, and it was parked nicely. And I had a really shitty Prius. Now it's tattooed on me. I hit guardrail. So like, I was studying the Prius. I moved it to the back and I realized, oh my God, I could barely turn it. And I saw the scraping of the guardrail and I saw tall grass and I just thought, what happened? So then there was a shuttle that would take us to work and it was on the freeway. There was an accident. So the shuttle was taking its time. And I thought, I'm going to study and find the green paint on the guardrail. And I found it. And in that moment, I started to cry because I realized it was like 3 to 4 feet away from no guardrail. So what probably happened was I hit one side and I hit the other. But if it had happened 3 or 4 feet before, I would have flown off that cliff and I would have been dead. And what I realized in that moment, it hit me so hard. It was two thoughts. Dude, you would not have been around for your daughter. My daughter's about to turn 8. And also you haven't done what you knew you were going to do. You've always known you were going to make movies and music. Like, you know that you were going to get known for it. Go do it. And so immediately after that, I completely shifted my gears, like fueled on Tony Robbins, and completely like people either thought I was crazy or they got behind and wanted to follow. And then I was too loud about Trump at my job that I got fired. And so like with all this energy, now I'm like, oh my God. And then I saw Follow the Cabal. And then that's where you guys know where the story takes off. So for anyone who's listening and their life seems like everything's over, that might just mean that everything's starting. So that's what I want to leave it off on.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah, that was great.
I love that. I love that. That's a great story, Nick. Nick, one more time, tell them where they can find you.
Goodlion.tv. If you go sign up on there, there's a promo code, Sam the Man, all one word, capital S. You can get 40% off my memberships for life. Like, that's every billing cycle. That's huge. I never do that. So also, when you do sign up on here, get the app. Go to the App Store, Good Lion TV. It's fun. You can stream it to your TV. There are thousands of movies on here, and you can watch 65 of mine and then 300 episodes that I produced.
Damn, bro. You're a hustler. Yeah. I love it. Nick, thanks for coming on. I hope with Sam, make sure I get that link so I can include in the description. Great show.